guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I know I haven't posted in a while, but you know, there hasn't been much to post during all that's been happening with like quarantine and all that, and yeah. And I know it took me 4-5 months to get this video. Oh well. I've just been not wanting to think about what happened and all that. I don't know. But I'm finally ready to do the video of how I got my nose broken. So you know what? Let's get into it. So, how I ended up breaking my nose was I was in my high school's production, Newsies, and in Newsies there's this big fight scene. And our choreographer, who was amazing, and I love her so much, hand selected certain people to be in this fight, and there was like some like main characters who needed to be in the fight, but like we trusted everyone who was in this fight. We even brought in a fight choreographer to make sure no one was going to get hurt, and so every rehearsal we would start off slow. Like once we had our choreo, we would like run it at like, I think we started at 50%. We would run our fight scene like slow. Everyone would just like slowly do like their movements, and then we would do it again like 50%, and then we'd do it like 75%, I believe. And we never practiced 100%, because once you actually did the run through like with the music in the show, that brings you to 100. Because if you practice 100, you just have too much adrenaline, and that would make the fight a lot more dangerous. So every time we practiced this fight, everyone was fine, everyone felt safe. Then on, what was the day? March 11th, I figured. It was a week before our tech day, or tech week. And we were running the fight as normal. We had a fight captain as well who was counting out like the numbers, so like we were following like her counts. And at the beginning of the fight, I go up and I am helping out this other character who's Jack, who's fighting Weasel, who's like the big bad evil person, well, one of the big bad evil people. And then Jack gets knocked to the ground, and then I start fighting Weasel. And during this fight, I get knocked to the ground by a punch from Weasel, and I fall down towards my left shoulder like that. And while this is happening, or like a little bit before my counts, while that's happening, another kid is like doing a somersault on the ground, which is kind of close to me, because we have a very small stage that we perform on. And the night this happened, it was our first run through of the fight that night. I was like doing my falling down to the ground, and as I'm like kind of falling, I see this kid rolling on the ground like right by me, and I'm like, as I'm going down, I'm like, this is not gonna end well. And I ended up getting kicked in the face. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I know I just got kicked, I'm gonna step out. I was thankfully like right by the front of the stage, so I just like moved myself to the front of the stage, had my legs like dangling off, and I went and I was holding my nose like this, just because like I knew my nose got hit, and I was like, okay, it's fine. and I go like that, and I see that there's blood in my hand. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. I don't want to like get it all over like the stage and that, so I hopped off the stage, and as I'm like starting to leave to go towards the bathroom that's in the MU, I hear our choreographer yelling, "Stop, stop, everyone stop." And as I'm like kind of running into the bathroom, everyone stops and is like, what happened? Because not a lot of people saw me getting kicked. And I go into the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, like, let's see. And I look up in the mirror, and I remember I had my hands on like the sink, so I look up, I'm like, yeah, my nose is broken. My nose was like shifted off to the, like over here a little bit. I don't have any pictures from when it happened, and which is kind of sad. So then I was in the bathroom. Our choreographer and one of the band director's wife, who was helping with like music, was also in there. So was my friends. They got me a chair. They covered up the mirror. I was like completely fine. I was in like a lot of shock, people were saying, and I was just chilling. And they called my parents. My parents were coming down. My boyfriend was like outside, like wondering like how is she? Is she okay? Is she okay? And then one of my friends was like, can Thomas come in? Well, this is Jamie actually. Like, can Thomas, the boyfriend, come in? And they're like, yes, of course. And so my boyfriend came in and was like helping. They were feeding me water. I guess, yeah. So I stayed hydrated. Tried to make sure that I didn't look at myself. One thing I forgot to add as well, when I was in the bathroom, because I had my hands like that covering my nose for when I was running to the bathroom, a bunch of blood got on my hands and got on my wrists. So the band director's wife was like cleaning it up for me like before my parents showed up, just so like nothing, like my parents didn't freak out even more. Yeah, my biggest thing that I wished happened, because I was like, too bad I wasn't filming it. I literally said that during that, and everyone's like, oh, you vlogger, you. Because I was like filming a lot of our show, and I was just so mad that I didn't get this on video, because it would have been like cool to have a video of like me getting my nose broken, but oh well. My parents came, and we didn't call an ambulance because my parents were like, no, let's not deal with that, we'll just take her. So me, my boyfriend, my parents got in my parents' car, and we were starting to head over to go to a local emergency room. And at the time, Corona was starting to happen. So like my parents were like, oh, we don't really want to go in the emergency room, but we should. And my mom called a family friend who's a doctor, and he was like, oh no, I'll come. I'll like just come to my house and we'll take care of her. So we did that because he was like an EMT guy, I believe. And so we went to their house, and he was like, yeah, it's broken. Thankfully I could like breathe out of my like nose, which was good, which was a good sign. Then when we're sitting on his couch, he like shifted it over a little bit more. And then I went home, we iced it. Then yeah, I was chilling at my home. Thomas came home with me. We got like all of our stuff from the high school, brought all the cars back. At the very end of the night, once rehearsal was over, the kid who kicked my nose and broke it is actually like the younger sibling of one of my closer friends. So they like the siblings and my friend all came over with like some of my favorite like snacks and like ice cream, as a little like, I'm sorry, like, how are you, what did they say, are you okay? And it was really sweet. Yeah, that candy didn't last long. Then went to bed. My parents were like, okay, we'll take her to like a doctor tomorrow to make sure, to see what it's like. And then the next day, I woke up and I was like, I'm ready for school. And my parents were like, what? You're not going to school. You have like a broken nose. You're not going to school. I was like, but I want to go to school. the reason I wanted to go to school was because I wanted to go to rehearsal that night. Because I knew if I was fine enough to go to school, I'm fine enough to go to rehearsal. My parents were like, "You're crazy." I didn't start till like 9:40, but so like it was fine. I convinced my parents to let me go. At that day, I only had 2 classes, so I only went for my like actual AP class, and I sat there, and everyone's like, "Why are you here?" And everyone was asking like, "What happened?" I was like, had my quick story, broken last night. And then after that class, I went and thanked the band teacher again for like all that his wife did the night before for me. And he was like, "Oh no, of course." And he was like really sweet. Then I went home, and I drove too. I was like fine. I went home, and then we ended up getting an appointment to go see a nose doctor later that night. So my dad and I went over to go get my nose checked out by a doctor, but my face was so swollen that they couldn't see. Like it was so swollen right here. So then they were like, "Come back like next week, like next Tuesday or whatever, to come see it. Once the swelling's gone." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And on our way home from the doctor's, I was like, "I want to go to rehearsal." So my dad dropped me off at rehearsal, and they're like, "Why?" People were like, "I can't believe you're here," because my nose was like really swollen, and they're like, "Your nose got broken yesterday." And I explained like what happened to everyone, because not everyone knew what happened the night before. And during that rehearsal, which fun fact, was our last rehearsal, and I'm really glad I went to, because like Corona and everything happened. I was getting ready for like, it was our like I was getting ready, and I went to like the bathroom, and I went and I saw like the mirror in the sink that I stood over, and it just like freaked me out, and I had a full on like panic attack from it. And like I came out, and I like just like automatically like looked for like where my boyfriend was. I was like, "Help me." And we went outside, and like I cried, because like I was just freaking out from seeing like the sink, because I like pictured like I could picture like the blood that was in there from the night like when it happened. And so like I got calmed down, and then during that rehearsal, our fight choreo guy was there, and he was like, "Okay, let's fix this thing if you're up for it." So we fixed the choreo to where I didn't fall, and it was a lot better. I was still very like, because we did it right after I had my panic attack. I'm like, okay. I got a mic put on for some reason, and then we ran the show. Oh, actually before we ran the show, they did fight choreo, and I didn't go up on stage and participate. I participated like on the floor, like practicing my movements, still being like, okay, I can do it. And I still like moved my way up into the wings and did it a little bit in there. And I did, I think, at least one run through with them. And it was nice, because the kid who like kicked me in the face, they weren't there at the time. So that made me feel a little bit more comfortable, because I feel like if like they were there, then I would be like, I would have freaked out, and my body would have been like, "No, you can't do this, no." And then we ran the show, and I was so out of it. I was so tired, because like my nose was just taking so much energy. I asked the band director, I'm like, "Can I still sing?" He's like, "See how it feels like. If it hurts, stop." And it was fine. I sang. My singing was not the best. I forgot quite a few lines, because I was just so out of it, and I like missed my favorite line too. I was like, darn. I iced my face in between scenes, and it was just like chilling there. They filmed this night too. Only real recording we have, and I'm just like, cool. I'm so out of it in that. After that night, I went home. Then on Friday, I went to school again, but only went for like my first AP class. And then went home, and I went to dance class that night. And people were like, "Why are you here? Why are you doing things? Your nose just got broken. Go home." And then Saturday I had dance class as well. And I am really thankful I did choose to actually go to my classes, like in like the theater stuff, because we didn't know at the time there was only 3 weeks off because of Corona, and we thought everything would go back to like normal, but it didn't, and I'm really, really happy I did push to go to these things because I was able to still be a part of them. Then Monday before lockdown quarantine started, me, Jamie, Riley, and Jane all got together and we went and got dinner and went to the beach and had a photo shoot. And I love these photos because you can't tell that my nose is like swollen. There's like, I have like yellow bruises and that sort of a thing. So it's really funny. I'm like, haha, my nose is broken in those photos, and you can't tell. And then the next day, on Tuesday, which was the first day of lockdown, I had to go to the nose doctor to see what my nose was like. We were hoping it was straight, but like if it wasn't straight, they were gonna have to readjust it. And it was not straight. So what they did was, the doctor put some numbing things like up my nose and numbed my nose, and then he went and pushed it over, and there was like a little clicking, like a popping noise, and I was just like, it was just my dad who could come up with me because of COVID, so my mom had to wait in the car, and it like popped over, and then he put on a nose cast, so like he taped up my nose and then put on like this like foam cast on it, which I had to keep on ideally for a week, but like it fell off sooner. It's fine. But you couldn't get it wet, which was a problem for when I wanted to go home and take a shower to get like the doctor germs off of me. So I came up with an idea of putting a plastic bag over my nose to like protect it from getting not getting wet, and it really actually did work, and I did not suffocate, which is good. And then a week after I got that put on, I went back and I still had the cast on. And the doctor was like, I can't believe it's on still. Like, 'cause usually people, like, it falls off like halfway through the week, which is fine. I was like, yeah, no, I was able to keep it on. And then he was like, okay, it looks good. My nose like had a bunch of pimples on it because like it was oily and I could not wash it at all. And then I went home and my nose looked good as new. And so that's the story of how I got my nose broken. That was the last week of my senior year. I'm never gonna forget it. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time.